All right, as you probably know, there's been a big Google update called the Google Helpful Content Update, and it's shaken up a lot of people's websites. And in this video, I'm going to explain a bit about this update, what exactly happened, and what you should do about it. So every 6 months or so, Google releases an update with the goal of supposedly making the Google search results better. So since AI has become a big thing, they've also been going back and forth on how to deal with the AI content and still deliver good results that humans actually want to read. Now, as somebody who's been doing this for 10 years, I've been through quite a few of these updates, and I've seen this process happen over and over again with people's sites getting hit and then running around like a chicken with its head cut off, panicking about what to do the very day that the update is released. But guess what? Everyone lives at the end of this. So here's the thing, if you're watching this video on the day I've released it or a couple days after, what you need to understand about this is that the update is still happening. People freak out because their websites have dropped and they've lost their traffic and it's become a big problem. And I understand why they do that. But the issue you have is that it is still not finished. So you can't make any actual proper judgments about what exactly is going on midway through the update. Some Google updates, for instance, the one that they did last year in December, which was the last helpful content update, lasted 38 days, which means that anything you did in those 38 days was completely useless because you didn't have enough data to actually make a correct decision to know what you should do about this. So you need to keep this in mind. The thing is not finished yet. And not only that, even times when they do an update, and it does happen that they get results they didn't actually want, they can actually roll back part or even all of the update and set it back to where it was before, which means anything you did in the meantime may even potentially hurt your site. So my biggest piece of advice right now, if you're watching this video soon after I've released it, is to just do nothing. Stop panicking and don't do anything. And the reason why is because you do not have enough data to know what exactly is going on in order to actually make a decision about how to correct it. Now, let's go into a little bit about the update and what it actually is and what I'm seeing as well. So if we go on Google's website and actually take a look at what the Google helpful content system is supposed to be, we can basically see here, if we scroll through the thing, that it is supposed to ensure that people see original helpful content created for people in the search result. So what they're basically trying to do is give or reward content where visitors feel that they've had a satisfying experience, while the content that didn't meet the visitor's expectation doesn't perform as well. So this goes back to the search intent, and I'm going to put a link to my video on search intent up above. This is obviously relating to search intent, and I'm going to show you something to do with that on my own website in a minute, which I think there is a degree of that I'm seeing so far. However, again, we're in the middle of the update. Don't panic about anything. So the idea behind this is basically Google is prioritizing content that it thinks is helpful to people and is demoting content that is just fluff or is useless. And we all know what that's like. We've seen most of that on the internet, and it's always annoying. Now, what is actually happening on this update so far? So what people are actually seeing is they're seeing more forums, more Reddit posts, and more Quora type posts ranking in search results, where things like websites, blogs, and things like that have taken a big hit. And that kind of goes in line with this whole trying to see human results. But the problem with this is that a lot of these things in these forums and Quora and Reddit and things like that are not actually useful for the actual search intent. A lot of the comments are just not answering the question, things like that. So you're probably going to find that there may very well be a correction to this update. A lot of people are unhappy with what's going on. So you need to keep that in mind as well. If you make any rash changes, you may find that you correct it, they go back, and now you're in a worse spot than before. Now, I'm going to show you what's actually happening on my site as well and what I'm noticing. So firstly, if you go into my SEMrush account, you can see here, I've set the date range to the last 30 days, and this is across all the different websites I'm tracking. And you can actually see that all of them, barring my blog, have actually increased over the last 30 days, not decreased, which means that the strategy I've been using for posting content is working because none of them have actually dropped. Now, my blog, which I made a video about previously, a case study on this blog, and I'm going to put a link to that one here. You should go watch that. I showed you how I got this blog to over 28,000 visitors a month. Basically, this blog, I'm going to show you what happened here. So it did take a bit of a hit. It looks extreme on this graph, but it's actually not that bad. So if we go into the search console, this is my blog, Nefarious Racing, and you can see here that if you take a look around the 19th of September when the update was released, I mean, it hit a peak and it was kind of coming down. Then you can see on the 19th, it took a little bit more of a drop. So it's come back to basically where I was hanging around the end of July, beginning of August. So it took a little bit of a drop, but not a significant one like some other people who are seeing 60% plus drops, which are pretty crazy. And if we see in the analytics here, this is set, I'll set it from beginning of August till today. You can see here that the traffic has come down a little bit, but it's not major, and I'm going to show you why. So if we take a look at the actual rankings of the keywords that I'm tracking, and we take a look at the biggest lost ones, what I'm finding is the ones that have dropped the most are the ones that I was ranking on commercial search intent keywords. So for instance, when somebody searches like BMW coilovers, they're typically looking to buy them and they're looking for an online shop. And if you go and search this keyword on Google, which I'll do in front of you now, you will see that all the results are actually online stores, e-com shops. You can see this. It's all e-com. And so what was happening there is my site, which was a blog, was ranking for e-com or commercial related keywords. And what happened there is Google obviously decided that my blog was not relevant to the commercially related keywords, and so it's dropped it off. Now, okay, that's not 100% consistent. There are some informational based ones that, at least according to SEMrush, that it dropped off for as well. But by far the biggest ones are either the commercial or navigational for specific brand names. However, all my informational ones, like best coilovers and so on, if we take a look at the position tracking, they are all still ranking because I'm still number one for a lot of keywords. So what's happening there, you can see here, these are the top threes. It's just dropped off a small portion of the top threes, and it's actually risen for a lot of keywords in the top 10 and below. But yeah, it's all the ones that are like informational, like, you know, coilover reviews or wheel review type stuff, it's still there, gone up as well. Best E36 coilovers, those kind of things. So what's happened is that it's clearly a search intent thing where the commercial keywords have dropped because my website is not an e-com store, it's a blog. But the informational ones, as you can see here, they're all still ranking. Now I'm still ranking for some commercial base, but like, let's say for instance, these ones, these are looking for best, which means review type stuff and comparison posts. And that's exactly what I have. And you can see I'm still number one for all of those. So that's what I'm seeing on my end regarding the search intent at the very least. Now, to round this out, if you have experienced a hit on your website, what actually should you do? Well, like I said in the beginning of the video, nothing. Don't do anything. Continue as normal. It is still far too early to make a judgment call on absolutely anything to do with this update. We're only like 10 days into it. At the very least, it's going to take 2 weeks, and it could even take a lot longer. And especially if Google decides to roll it back, then you're going to end up making changes to your website that could potentially do more harm than good, especially if they do roll it back. So I highly recommend that if you are panicking, just stop panicking, calm down. I know it to take a big hit because if your business relies on the search traffic and now it's just been wiped out overnight, then I understand why you're panicking. But the problem is that that's not actually going to help anything. And if you do anything rash, it's not going to help. It might actually harm you more, especially for the fact that historically, websites that have just suddenly dropped off in the Google search results that literally just tanked overnight on an update usually have recovered within like a month or two. So if that's happened to you, it's very likely that your website's going to recover in some way. So I highly recommend that you just wait this one out and see what happens, and wait till the dust settles so that you can actually make an informed decision. Now, what I'm probably going to do is in a couple of weeks' time, once everything has settled, I will let you know what has actually happened and what I recommend doing from here. So until then, just take it easy. I'll make another video with an update in a couple of weeks once we know what's actually going on, and I can give you some more concrete advice. Until then, just take it easy. Don't make any rash changes, and I'll catch you on that video.